States Up podcast. I'm your host, Brant Freeman. Again, we're in the video series of the podcast now. The last couple of weeks, we have visited with Bobcat football player, offensive lineman Nash Jones, one of the several UIW transfers on the offensive line last week. Talked volleyball with Jackie Lee, and today we're touching on the other fall sport, soccer. The Bobcats coming off a 12-win campaign from a year ago under first-year head coach Steve Holeman. And one of the offensive stars for that team is our guest on this week's podcast. Madi Goss joins us now. Madi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. And Madi, I know as we record this podcast, the team is playing its exhibition schedule. Just played TCU last night, getting ready for Texas A&M tomorrow at the time of this podcast. So don't want to take up too much of your time, but we again appreciate you coming on. More about Madi for our fans who don't know. She is a junior, so this will be year 3 for Madi with the program, hailing from Garland, Texas. First team All-Sun Belt Conference a year ago, was named as the team's offensive MVP. 9 goals scored for Madi as a sophomore, the first sophomore to lead the team in goal scoring since 2013, so almost a decade in the making. And on PKs last year, Madi, you're really good, 4 for 4. The 4 PKs, the most, by the way, in team history. So as you look back at last season, the team success, your success, how enjoyable was the ride?
It was really exciting. Like you said, it was our first year under a new head coach, so everyone was kind of nervous about that. But with Steve and all the other coaches, he really helped us grow as players. And like you saw in our field, we definitely felt more comfortable in our season, and that led us to winning more games than we had in the past. So it was definitely a fun ride, and it was definitely enjoyable.
Okay, Madi, so 9 goals for you, again, for those PKs. Of the goals you scored, what was the most memorable?
Probably my hat trick. It's been a while since that's happened, so it was definitely a fun game. I feel like that's the game that I really started gaining my confidence back in my sport. And, I mean, it took me through the rest of the season, and I started really enjoying playing again, especially after that game.
Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes I talk to student athletes who are in the middle of after the fact they were in the middle of a big game, putting up 40 in basketball or a triple-double or, catching 3 touchdowns or whatever, and asking them if they realized in the moment what they had done. For you, did you know the moment you finished the hat trick what you had done?
No. Definitely my third one. The second one was kind of iffy with the goals, so I feel like it was just like another goal. And also, we were just focusing on putting more in the back of the net. Most of what we struggled with in the past year was just scoring, so our goals were just keep putting them in the back of the net as many as they allowed us to. I don't think it really hit me until the next day.
So again, last year was your second year with the program. Your first year, the team won just 7 games, so 5-win improvement a year ago with the new coaching staff in place. For you, what was the biggest difference with the success last year as opposed to your freshman season?
Like I said, I think I really just found my confidence again. My freshman year, I had just came back from my third knee surgery, so I was still kind of getting back in the hang of it, still getting back into shape. And so I think when the new coach came, I sat and talked to him when he first came and just asked what he expected out of the position. And I went back home and I worked with the coach all summer and did everything he said he wanted in the position, and I think that made me more comfortable in playing last season.
You mentioned your coach, Steve Holeman, came over from Lamar, had a lot of prior experience to that in the SEC as well. Well-traveled coach, well-accomplished coach as well. He's hit many coaching milestones. First year at Texas State, a season ago. What have you gotten to know about your coach, and what's it like playing for him?
He's definitely a funny person. Like, not many people know that about him, but like, he's an enjoyable coach to be around. He definitely pushes us to be better. It's not always a serious practice. He always tells us that, hey, like, we can have fun, but in certain drills, like, we got to switch it on and be serious. And we have our moments where it's really competitive. And right now, he like created a saying for us to climb the hill, and so that's really helped us a lot, because last year a little bit when we would lose, like, it would kind of bring us down. But now this new saying, climb the hill, it's like we're continuously getting better and we're continuously going to climb that hill. So he's definitely a good coach, and I've definitely learned a lot from him.
You mentioned climbing the hill. A season is a grind, right? From the beginning of the year to the end of it, certainly preseason camp, as well, the off season, not to mention the life of a student athlete, the class load you have to take on, other extracurriculars, other responsibilities, in addition to, training, practicing, film study, travel, all this stuff. What is the most challenging thing for you to get through the grind of a season?
I think it really is just that last part of a season and the last part of like classes, when classes are starting to get more strict, and then you're also trying to, one, make it to conference tournament and continue to push through, because at the end of season your legs are tired, your body's tired. So I think right there is probably the most challenging for me. This past year, with the help of the coaches and players, it definitely made it a lot easier.
So you think about, again, the grind of a season and how challenging that can be. I'm sure there are times when you're looking for an escape, just an opportunity to maybe get away from the game, get away from school, get away from the demands of being a student athlete. What do you like to do to unwind?
I really like writing and drawing at times. That kind of helps a lot. Sometimes I look for new parts for my car and just fix stuff on my car, like put in new stuff. So that definitely helps unwind, because it still has me doing something active. But majority of what I like to do is just like writing and drawing.
It's funny you say that, because the guest we had last week, Jackie Lee, we got into the conversation about mental health and just how important it is to address that for student athletes. And one of the things that she mentioned she enjoys doing is drawing and art as well. And she and I made kind of the connection there, because my 12-year-old daughter is extremely artistic and likes to draw and do stuff like that as well. But one thing you said, though, kind of caught my attention there, and that was fixing up your car. Can you give me a little bit more insight into your mechanical knowledge?
So like I put in like a new like touchscreen radio in my car. So, I mean, I have a kind of knowledge. Me and my mom, she's more the hands-on person, so she's taught me a lot. Definitely, like, a lot more life skills. Like changing a tire, knowing like if your car doesn't start, if it's battery starter and stuff like that. So we've like redone like the interior of my car.
Nice.
And put in like a new radio, a new sound system. So it's definitely, like, looking back, it's definitely fun to work, but first time it's a little stressful for the first time.
All right, so it seems like you're into your cars. So for you, the dream car, is that like something old school, like like a 1963 Mustang, or is it more something modern today, like a brand new car? What would your dream car be if you could fix it up? The interior, the way that you want, the sound system, all of it, what would that car be?
I would definitely have to do a Mustang. I'm not too quite sure on the year, because I do love the older years and I do love like the new years. So I think what I would do is get like a newer kind of Mustang and put in like the old parts that I like the radios, and then just interior. Like, my dream car would have like a whole black leather interior with some red in it. So definitely we have to do Mustang.
Very nice. You mentioned your mom, Jody,
Yes.
your dad, Brian. So tell me a little bit more about your parents, about the support system that you have, and how influential they have been for you on your journey to becoming a D1 student athlete.
Definitely very supportive. Me and my mom are close and comes and visits when she can. I think a big sole reason of why I'm still doing what I'm doing is my siblings, most importantly. They look up to me a lot. My younger sister is now thinking about doing college sports as well. So I like saying that. And like I said, with my mom being more hands-on, I've just always gotten like the drive and the hard working from her. So like it's definitely been helpful. And regardless what I go through, she's just there to say everything's going to be okay and it'll work out.
Yeah, you mentioned your siblings. You come from a family of 4 kids, which I was the same growing up, by the way. I was number 3 of 4. I'm not sure where you fall in the order, but Craig, Dylan, Riley. So
Yeah.
you touched upon a little bit, about your siblings and how supportive they have been. Can you tell me a little bit more about, growing up with them and what the household was like with 4 of you in there?
Well, I'm the oldest, so
Okay.
I was definitely more of the caregiver.
So you're number 1.
Type. Yes, I'm number 1. I'm not gonna lie, it gets annoying at times just having 3 younger siblings running around. My youngest, she's still really young. She's 8, but she's like my mini-me, so that's pretty fun. My brother, he's the odd man out. I mean, just there's only 2 guys, and then he's surrounded by girls all the time. But he stays to himself. He just does what he needs to do to get through the day. And then my sister, my older sister under me, she got into sports like I did when she was young as well. She did soccer, and right now she's into softball and volleyball. And so she's been having fun with that. She talks to me all the time about how I did club sports, how I did the traveling with school, because she just started her second year of high school. So she's like, I don't get how you did school and sports. I was like, it only gets worse from here. You just got to push through. So.
You mentioned, by the way, getting into sports, your sister doing that. Obviously, you did it. When did you first get into soccer? Where does your love of the sport come from?
I was 3, and from what my parents tell me, I just had too much energy that they had to just put me into something so I can run it out. So they chose soccer. My dad, he was my coach for like 3 years growing up, and then when I hit 6, I got into a club team, and I was with that team for years. So I think when I went to the club team and I actually saw, I actually enjoyed, I caught myself going outside doing extra stuff to get better and, just going on a run just so I'm in shape. So I think that's when I figured out that I had the love for the game.
Speaking of the love for the game, this is the year for the Women's World Cup. It comes every 4 years. Certainly, as far as the U.S. is concerned, a disappointing outing for them in the World Cup, an early exit. How much have you been following, and what did you make of the U.S. not quite living up to the expectations?
I've been following them the most because I really had my hopes with them. But, I mean, the last game they played, I can tell they really put in the fight and stuff like that. And I think for me, their last game really transferred over into how we are playing, just how much it important it is to get the final third and actually score, because they had a lot of opportunities and they just couldn't get in the back of the net. I know some of their previous games, not the best that I've seen them play personally, but yeah, it was sad to see them get out the World Cup.
They've had so many great stars over the years. Yeah. The Americans, going back to the mid-90s, Brandy Chastain, certainly with her iconic goal in the 96 World Cup. For you, which soccer players did you idolize growing up?
Growing up, Abby Wambach, Megan Rapinoe, Sydney Leroux. Alex Morgan was there when I was playing forward, and then I switched back to my center mid. Rose Lavelle is really good. I like how she is on the ball. And then I just love how Julie Ertz plays in the back. She does really good.
By the way, I think I got my years mixed up. 96 was the men, 98 was the women, and that's when Chastain scored her goal. Getting away from soccer here for a second and looking at your studies, I understand a health sciences major. If you can, tell me a little bit more about that and the career field you're ultimately looking to get into.
So with health sciences, I'm looking into do ultrasound nursing. My first couple years to like 5 years, I want to do travel nursing. Mm-hmm. So after Texas State, I'll be going to nursing school and then pursuing my travel nursing. And then when I find where I want to live, settle down and continue to do ultrasound nursing.
That's great, Maddie. And I do want to come back, though, to soccer before we wrap things up. And one thing I want to note, we talked about last year's success, and the crowds were really remarkable. A year ago, the way the team drew, the support you were getting. So, I would anticipate similar atmospheres again this year because there's a lot of excitement around the program. What can Bobcat fans expect to see from this year's team? What would be your message to them as you get ready to start the coming year?
We definitely got something to prove. Last year was just our starting. This year we got a lot that we want to prove and a lot that we want to earn. We feel like we will put in the work to get what we want. So should be definitely exciting.
Yeah, no, well said, Maddie, and looking forward to getting underway. I know you're kind of wrapping up the exhibition season. The regular season is going to be here before we know it, and looking forward to even bigger and better things this year after a great year a year ago, perhaps your name being called to the all-conference team again this season. Thanks so much, Maddie, and best of luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
You got it. That's going to wrap up the State's podcast, Talking Bobcat Soccer, with junior Madi Goss. Again, 9 goals a year ago, 4 of those on PKs, a hat trick, a game winner, coming off a really good year last season. Looking forward to a great 2023. For Maddie, I'm Brain Freeman, reminding you to keep your stakes up, and we'll see you next time.